Hitler, you probably didn't even hate the Jews. That was just the meth making you crazy, dog.
Both of you, get back in the closet. You deserve a fucking ass whooping. All of you, get back in the closet. Go fuck yourself.
How much does it cost for fascism? How much do the taxpayers have to pay for a fascist country?
They're evil. They are actively doing evil. So treat them like the evil that they are.
The right to exist argument has been used now to the point where what it's going to mean is that the Israel you're talking about will include the annexed and illegally occupied West Bank. It's very interesting, the Israeli government has never said where it thinks the borders of Israel really ought to be and what it would settle for. I think it would be an immense help if it tells us where it thinks Israel's boundaries should be. Every other country does do that.
It's time to stop pretending otherwise. It's time to be ruthless and time to afford them the same amount of grace that they give to their Palestinian victims, because they are only going to get more and more ruthless with their victims if you don't.
Mic check. Mic check. 1, 2. Alright, quick flag check. There she is. Thought that was an interesting cartoon.
Out in the tropics, no threats to the Gulf right now, but it's getting busy out here. We've got Hurricane Gabrielle. It's on its way, if not already a major hurricane, and there's no threats to the Gulf right now, but it's getting busy out here. We've got Hurricane Gabrielle. It's on its way, if not already a major.
Why are you loud as fuck?
Hurricane, and there's two other features we're going to keep an eye on. This is Gabrielle this morning. It's going to miss Bermuda, luckily, but that right there is not a Cat 1. That's stronger than a Category 1 hurricane. And they're actually going to go out and look at it later on and let us know exactly how strong it is, but powerful storm there on the way. These other two features, they're giving this one a high chance of development and this one a medium. Now there is uncertainty on which one of these actually will form. I think if this one forms, it's going to stay out to sea. This one, though, has the attention of the East Coast, and there very well could be a developing storm off the East Coast by this weekend. So the Carolinas need to keep a very close eye on this. The GFS has a named storm on their doorstep by the end of this weekend. The European model's not completely sold on that, but it definitely should warrant the attention there off the East Coast. Still no problems for us, though. We're going to be enjoying our weak cool front this weekend, so some rain to help out. We've got burn bans in effect for a few parishes on the North Shore. We certainly need some rainfall. It's been so bone dry this month of September, so we'll take it. This weekend, though, is going to be dry and comfortable in the 80s with plenty of sunshine. All
right, let's start with headlines and then we'll go into more specific stories.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Britain, Canada, Australia, and Portugal formally declared recognition of a Palestinian state on Sunday ahead of the United Nations General Assembly. This is British Prime Minister Keir Starmer.
Today, to revive the hope of peace and a two-state solution, I state clearly, as Prime Minister of this great country, that the United Kingdom formally recognizes the state of Palestine.
France and several other countries are expected to recognize Palestine this.
Yeah, I suppose if you're going to peddle the two-state solution, there should be two states already established, right? Palestine needs to be a state. You're like, oh, it's not? Oh, okay.
This week, joining more than 140 countries that now recognize a Palestinian state. Hussam Zomlot, the Palestinian ambassador to the United Kingdom, spoke on Sunday.
We realize that the recognition itself will not stop the wheels of colonization and theft of land and oppression of our people. But the question is never, why should the UK and the rest of the world recognize the state of Palestine? The question is why the UK has not recognized the state of Palestine until now. And the answer is where we are today. Because of the lack of this recognition, because of the lack of this foundational step, things have been left to fester all the way to genocide being committed in full view of the world.
100%.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responded to the developments by saying a Palestinian state, quote, will not happen, unquote. Several members of the Israeli government also called for Israel to annex the occupied West Bank. We'll have more on this story later in the program. We'll go to Ramallah, to Tel Aviv, and to London. In Gaza, Israel's escalating its bombardment of...
I love how even the most tepid recognition of Palestine makes Israel show their ass as complete genocidal freaks.
Gaza City as Israel attempts to destroy the entire city. Officials in Gaza say almost 500,000 Palestinians have now been forcibly displaced from the city. Over the past day, Israel killed at least 61 people as the official death toll tops 65,300, even though the real number is expected to be far higher. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is seeking to send $6 billion in new weapons to Israel, despite a recent United Nations finding Israel's committing genocide in Gaza. The proposed arms deal includes 30 Apache attack helicopters and over 3,000 infantry assault vehicles. Meanwhile, unions in Italy have launched a one-day general strike to protest Israel's war on Gaza.
I remember these exact bags. I remember watching a guy just, it was one of the doctors, actually, mourning his family.
Italy have launched a one-day general strike to protest Israel's war on Gaza. An Israeli airstrike in southern Lebanon killed 5 people Sunday, including 3 children from the same family along with their father. Lebanon's Prime Minister Nawaf Salam decried the attack as a massacre. Lebanese officials said 4 of the victims, including the children, were U.S. citizens, but the U.S. State Department has disputed the claim. The Israeli military acknowledged carrying out the attack, saying the target of the strike was a member of Hezbollah. The Committee to Protect Journalists says recent Israeli strikes on 2 newspaper offices in Yemen killed 31 journalists and media support workers, making it the deadliest attack on journalists anywhere in the world in 16 years. 22 journalists were also injured in the strike. CPJ said the attack was the second deadliest attack on the press ever recorded by the organization. Tens of thousands of people gathered in Arizona Sunday for a memorial for the conservative activist Charlie Kirk, assassinated September 10th while speaking at Utah Valley University. Speakers included Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, who's just become the new head of Turning Point USA.
On the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do."
For they know not what they do.
That young man, I forgive him.
President Trump gave a 40-minute eulogy where he called Charlie Kirk a martyr.
You don't have to forgive the murderer of your husband. Like, that's so weird, dude.
He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Erica.
Other speakers included Vice President J.D. Vance, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and White House advisor Stephen Miller, who vowed to quash enemies and prevail over the forces of wickedness and evil. While the Trump administration threatened to target progressive groups after Kirk's assassination, NBC is reporting authorities have found, quote, no evidence tying the accused assassin to any left-wing groups. President Trump's escalating his attacks on press freedom and the First Amendment. On Friday, he said it should be illegal for journalists to give his administration negative coverage.
They'll take a great story and they'll make it bad. See, I think that's...
If Trump did nothing else with his presidency, he'd still call it a success.
Really illegal, personally.
He's such a freak, dude.
Trump's comments come just days after ABC, which is owned by Disney, indefinitely suspended Jimmy Kimmel's program following Federal Communications Commission Chair Brendan Carr's threats to revoke the broadcast licenses of ABC affiliates. On Friday, a group of writers and actors rallied outside the Disney offices in Manhattan to defend free speech.
It's important for us to stand up together and to fight against censorship. The First Amendment says that the government does not have the right to come in and tell me what I can and cannot write and perform and so on. And this is the government putting its thumb on the scale.
The Pentagon's imposing new restrictions on reporters. Journalists face the risk of losing media credentials unless they sign a pledge stating they will not gather or report on any information that has not been formally authorized for release. The president of the National Press Club, Mike Balsamo, criticized the new rules, saying, quote, this is a direct assault on independent journalism at the very place where independent scrutiny matters most, the U.S. military, he said. President Trump's publicly urged Attorney General Pam Bondi to prosecute 3 prominent rivals, former FBI Director James Comey, New York Attorney General Letitia James, and Democratic Senator Adam Schiff. In a post on Truth Social, Trump wrote, we can't delay any longer, unquote. In related news, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, Eric Siebert, resigned Friday under pressure from Trump, who publicly criticized Siebert for not bringing criminal charges against New York Attorney General Letitia James. Trump said he plans to replace Siebert with Lindsay Halligan, a White House aide who once worked as part of Trump's personal legal team. Most recently, Halligan has been leading the administration's efforts to remove what Trump has called improper ideology at the Smithsonian Museums. President Trump's overhauling the H-1B visa program, which allows high-skilled workers to enter the country to work in the tech industry and other fields. On Friday, Trump signed an executive order imposing a $100,000 fee for the visa. The move set off mass confusion, with many companies ordering non-citizen employees traveling abroad to immediately return to the United States. The White House later clarified that existing visa holders would not be impacted. MSNBC has revealed Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, was recorded last year accepting a bag with $50,000 in cash from a pair of FBI agents who were posing as business executives. In exchange for the money, Homan reportedly offered to help them secure future government contracts. A bribery probe was opened, but Trump's Department of Justice recently shut down the investigation. In Chicago, 10 people were arrested in protests outside an ICE facility Friday as federal immigration agents fired pepper balls and used tear gas on the crowd. Democratic congressional candidate Kat Abugazaleh was thrown to the ground by ICE agents. People had rallied outside the facility to protest the Trump administration's Operation Midway Blitz, which has arrested nearly 550 people in a sweeping crackdown on immigrants in the city. Meanwhile, a 42-year-old man has died in ICE custody in Long Island, New York on Thursday. According to ICE, at least 14 people have died in custody so far this year. In Louisiana, ICE prisoners are on hunger strike to protest their conditions at the infamous Angola prison. According to the Southeast Dignity Not Detention Coalition and the National Immigration Project, the prisoners are asking for access to medical and mental health care. And in California, Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a law banning law enforcement, including ICE, from wearing masks. The Trump administration has ended the U.S.'s annual report on food insecurity and hunger. In California, Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a law banning law enforcement, including ICE, from wearing masks. The Trump administration has ended the U.S.'s annual report on food insecurity and hunger in America. It comes 2.5 months after Trump signed into law a tax and spending bill sharply reducing the number of Americans receiving food stamps. The U.S. Department of Agriculture said it was no longer issuing the annual hunger report, claiming, quote, the data is rife with inaccuracies, unquote. On social media, Bobby Kogan of the Center for American Progress said, quote, this follows the playbook of many non-democracies that cancel or manipulate reports that would otherwise show less than perfect news. In Sudan, a drone strike by the UAE-backed Rapid Support Forces killed at least 85 people worshiping in a mosque in Darfur Friday. The attack took place in Al-Fashir, which has been under siege for more than a year as the RSF battles the Sudanese army for control of the city. There have been reports of starvation as hundreds of thousands of people have been displaced in the fighting. Sudan has been in a state of civil war since April 2023. Here's UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres sounding the alarm about the situation in Sudan.
It's horrible. So I think it's time for the Security Council to be able to take, with the agreement of all the key powers, very tough measures on Sudan.
In the Philippines, more than 200 protesters were arrested after clashes with police at an anti-corruption demonstration in the capital, Manila, Sunday. At least 131 police officers were wounded. More than 33,000 Filipinos rallied against politicians and contractors for corrupt practices in handling flood control projects. Here's Teddy Casino, the chairperson of the New Patriotic Alliance.
The people are very angry because they have been victims of flooding for all these years, and flooding has made their lives so difficult, and yet the discovery that all the billions of pesos that were supposed to help them, that was supposed to solve the problem, have ended up lining the pockets of all these corrupt politicians, government officials, and contractors.
It comes as thousands have been evacuated as a potentially catastrophic super typhoon, Ragasa, makes landfall in the north of the Philippines. Tens of thousands of protesters took to the streets across Brazil to protest a congressional bill that would make it harder to charge lawmakers for alleged crimes and even reduce penalties for individuals involved in former President Jair Bolsonaro.
Just stopping by to say good morning. I would stay, but I'm currently screening calls for the communist debate guy I told you about. Oh, okay, right on. If there's a way to tune into that, drop it in the chat, Pillow. But yeah, this is what Vitor was talking about yesterday, though.
Bolsonaro's coup attempt. Bolsonaro was sentenced earlier this month to 27 years in prison for trying to cling to power and for hatching a plan to assassinate his opponent, the current president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, who won the 2022 presidential election. Maria Alice Barbosa is a student in Rio de Janeiro.
I think this amnesty for Bolsonaro is ridiculous because these are people who harm Brazilian society, the Brazilian people. As citizens, we have to be here fighting, speaking out, showing our faces. People can't hide if we don't want to repeat what happened in past generations. As young people, we need to keep this in mind so that people know their rights and can fight for them.
And President Donald Trump has revealed details.
Okay, he's on Twitch. Right on.
About a possible deal with China that would give the United States more control over the social video platform TikTok. Trump said the deal could involve the media mogul Rupert Murdoch and his son Lachlan, the tech founder Michael Dell, and Oracle's Larry Ellison, a close Trump ally who briefly passed Elon Musk as the world's richest man. China has not yet confirmed a deal has been reached. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy.
You too, Pillow. Have a good day.
You thought you could kill Charlie Kirk? You have made him immortal. You have immortalized Charlie Kirk. And now millions will carry on his legacy.
Tens of thousands of people attended a memorial for Charlie Kirk. That's where we're starting the 7 from the Washington Post. I'm Hannah Jewell. It's Monday, September 22nd. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. In an Arizona stadium yesterday, people gathered to remember the conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who was shot dead earlier this month. The 5-hour event blended religious fervor with militant politics. Several top Trump officials spoke. That includes White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, who you heard at the top of the show. Kirk's widow, Erica, has taken over leadership of her late husband's organization, Turning Point USA. She spoke at the memorial and said she forgave the man who was accused of shooting her husband.
The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love.
To prosecute New York Attorney General Letitia James, former FBI Director James Comey, and Senator Adam Schiff of California.
Of you, but not necessarily to some folks that may be watching from other parts of the country. We're here in Los Angeles, the most diverse city in the most diverse state, California, in the world's most diverse democracy. It is a point of pride. We are a majority-minority state, California. At our best, we don't tolerate that diversity. At our best, we celebrate that diversity. We're a universal state. 27% of Californians are foreign-born. You heard the superintendent talk about all the mixed status families. Our status is unique in the United States of America. It's what
This guy says autism was discovered in 1911 and the modern definition of autism came in 1943. Tylenol wasn't widely used until the 1950s, just getting everyone ready for the clown show tomorrow. Good lord. Aren't the pyrotechnics a little much?
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We begin today's show looking at the right-wing's weaponization of the horrific assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, as tens of thousands of people gathered in Glendale, Arizona Sunday for his memorial. Kirk was killed September 10th while speaking at Utah Valley University. His widow, Erica, delivered an emotional speech to the crowd at State Farm Stadium near Phoenix.
On the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do." That man, that young man, I forgive him.
Erica Kirk has just become the new head of the conservative group her husband co-founded, Turning Point USA. While she called for forgiveness for the assassin, President Trump and other top speakers, including Vice President J.D. Vance and White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, reiterated calls for revenge on political opponents. In his 40-minute eulogy, Trump hailed Kirk as a martyr and great American hero.
He was a missionary with a noble spirit and a great, great purpose. He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them.
While the Trump administration's threatened to target progressive groups in the aftermath of Kirk's assassination, NBC reports authorities found, quote, no evidence tying the accused assassin to any left-wing groups. As advocates continue to denounce Trump's brazen attacks on free speech and the First Amendment, the president said Friday it should be illegal for journalists to give his administration negative coverage.
I'm a very strong person for free speech. The newscasts are against me. The stories are they said 97% bad. So they gave me 97. They'll take a great story and they'll make it bad. See, I think that's really illegal, personally.
I think that's illegal, personally, President Trump said. Trump's comments come just days after ABC, owned by Disney, indefinitely suspended Jimmy Kimmel's program following the chair of the Federal Communications Commission, Brendan Carr's threats to revoke the broadcast licenses of ABC affiliates. Carr recently told the right-wing podcaster Benny Johnson, quote, "We can do this the easy way or the hard way."
You know, when you look at the conduct that has taken place by Jimmy Kimmel, it appears to be some of the sickest conduct possible. I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, you know, there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead.
For more, we're joined in our New York studio by Jamil Jaffer, director of the Knight First Amendment Institute at Columbia University, previously deputy legal director at the ACLU. Welcome back to Democracy Now! It's great to have you with us. If you can talk about what's happening right now. First, this statement of President Trump, which he has repeated now a few times, that it should be illegal for journalists to cover President Trump negatively. He said they are breaking the law.
Yeah. I mean, let me start even before that by just stating the obvious. This killing of Charlie Kirk was a terrible, terrible thing, not just for Charlie Kirk's family and his supporters, but for our society. It is a terrible thing when somebody is killed because of their political views, and our democracy won't survive it if that becomes a pattern. Now we see the Trump administration using the killing as a pretext to further a crackdown on free speech that started, when President Trump took office in January. And this latest statement, the one you just mentioned, Amy, that where the president says, essentially, it's illegal to criticize me, I mean, is just really revealing what we have already seen through the president's, other policies. We have seen this wave of suppression directed not just at the media, but at universities, at cultural institutions, at law firms. Over and over again, the Trump administration latches on to whatever regulatory tools it has and uses those tools as ways of silencing dissent, suppressing criticism. It is all flagrantly illegal, and I think that President Trump saying it's illegal to criticize me may get some Americans who maybe haven't been paying as close attention as they should have been to this wave of suppression to realize what is really going on here. I mean, the president is claiming the powers of an authoritarian leader, and he's doing it quite explicitly.
So let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert before him, the significance of, this is also coming, to be clear. I want to go to the backlash against Kimmel following his opening monologue days after Kirk's assassination.
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
The abrupt decision to indefinitely suspend Jimmy Kimmel Live reportedly came from Robert Iger, the chief executive of ABC's parent company, the Walt Disney Company, and Disney Entertainment co-chair Dana Walden. And this also comes in the midst of the hopes of a $6.2 billion merger between Nexstar, one of the biggest owners of ABC affiliates, and Tegna, which requires FCC approval, which is very significant because that's Brendan Carr saying we can do this the easy way or the hard way.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to separate two things. So the private media institutions have a First Amendment right to make the decisions they want to with respect to, what content they show. That was, true with Stephen Colbert, true with Jimmy Kimmel. It was true when Meta decided to deplatform President Trump. These private media organizations have a First Amendment right to make those decisions. But the idea is that they're supposed to make those decisions autonomously and without undue pressure from the government. But what we're seeing now is that all of these institutions, just like the universities, just like the law firms, just like the cultural institutions, are making these decisions with a kind of figurative gun to their heads. The Trump administration is weaponizing regulatory authority. In this context, it's the FCC's power to approve mergers with the universities. It's Title VI of the civil rights laws. With the law firms, it's security clearances. They have different levers with different groups, but they're using these levers in order to enforce a kind of ideological conformity.
I mean, the conservative pundits are continually saying, yes, this was just a business decision. Trump loves to say, Colbert, Kimmel, low ratings, their corporate heads have every right to fire them.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, some of the conservatives who are saying this is just a business decision, we're not saying that when President Biden was leaning on the social media companies to change their policies with respect to vaccine misinformation. And President Biden's actions, though I do think that they did step over the line, were much more respectful of this First Amendment line than President Trump's decisions now. President Trump is, saying quite explicitly, if you disagree with me or you criticize me, you will be prosecuted. And I don't think we've had a president say something like that. I think this is the first time in the history of the modern First Amendment that, that any president has suggested that it's illegal to criticize him.
Now, I wanted to go to a day or two before Kimmel was let go. President Trump threatening ABC News, the same network, Jonathan Karl, after he questioned Trump about free speech and hate speech.
And what do you make of Pam Bondi saying she's going to go after hate speech? Is that, I mean, a lot of your allies say hate speech is free speech.
Should probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart. Maybe they'll come after ABC. Well, ABC paid me $16 million recently for a form of hate speech, right? Your company paid me $16 million for a form of hate speech. So.
This is Democracy Now! I'm Amy Goodman. We're also joined in Ramallah in the occupied West Bank by Dr. Mustafa Barghouti, Palestinian physician, activist, politician, who serves as General Secretary of the Palestinian National Initiative. The initiative said Palestinian recognition, quote, must immediately be accompanied by the imposition of sanctions on Israel to stop the war of extermination, ethnic cleansing, and starvation in the Gaza Strip. Your new essay, Mustafa, in today's New York Times is headlined, Palestinians need more than the gesture of statehood. If you can please respond first to Britain, Canada, Australia, Portugal recognizing a Palestinian state. I think on the Eiffel Tower now are the flags of Palestine and France. And what more you want to see. Oh, Palestine and Israel, Israeli flags are on the Eiffel Tower.
Well, first of all, I want to say that we welcome, of course, the recognition because it means that there is affirmation of the right of the Palestinian people to have self-determination. These recognitions negate completely the Israeli measures to kill the possibility of a Palestinian state and negate the Israeli discriminatory laws like the state nation law, which says that the right of self-determination on the historic Palestine is restricted to Israeli Jewish people. It also denies and negates the laws that Israel has passed to prevent the establishment of an independent Palestinian state. That is all good. It's a bit late, maybe not a bit late, but actually too late. But it's not enough either. We think we are now at a stage where nothing will stop Israel, nothing will deter Israel from continuing its genocidal war in Gaza and its bombardment of the Palestinian people there and its collective punishment, including starvation, and its acts of ethnic cleansing, especially now in Gaza City, and also the terrorist settlers' attacks in the West Bank. Nothing will deter all of that except sanctions on Israel immediately. By the way, while we talk, I just received information that the Israeli planes bombarded the main Palestinian Medical Relief Society center in the city of Gaza. destroyed it with 3 rockets and destroyed it completely, injuring some of the people who are working there and destroying one of the most important vital health centers in the city of Gaza. So we need sanctions. We need measures. I think the previous speaker spoke about that very clearly. And we need Israel to be restrained by these measures. One last point, which is that it is clear, as you can see now, with 10 more countries recognizing Palestine, which means 152 countries already recognize Palestine, more than 80% of the General Assembly members of the United Nations, much more than countries that recognize Israel, by the way. That puts Israel and the United States of America in very clear status of isolation because of the policies that Israel is following and because of the unconditional support that Trump's administration is providing to it, even when it is committing such horrible war crimes.
Can you comment on Basaladra, the director of the Oscar-winning film No Other Land, his home again raided?
Of course, that is totally unacceptable, and that is one other form of oppression, of freedom of expression, and oppression of people's ability to express the case of Palestine. And in my opinion, what we are subjected to is much worse even than what people in South Africa have been subjected to during the apartheid system. Yeah. But as I said before on your program, Amy, and I thank you for hosting me today. As I said before, the story of Palestine is becoming so similar to what happened in South Africa. People change, and then they change the parliaments in their countries, and then the parliaments change their governments. Everything you see in terms of recognition today by France, Britain, Australia, Canada, and others is happening only because of the steadfastness and resilience and resistance of the Palestinian people, because of the heroism of ordinary Palestinian citizens who refused to leave their country and who risked everything to stay in Palestine. And it's also because of the heroism of so many people in these countries, the people of France, the people of Britain, the people of Canada, the people of Australia, and the people of the United States, by the way, who are standing up against injustice and standing up in support of Palestine.
Dr. Barghouti, I wanted to get your response in this final minute to Israel's far-right minister Bezalel Smotrich calling the Gaza Strip a real estate bonanza, saying a business plan is on President Trump's table. He's added, we've done the demolition phase. Now we need to build. And of course, this reinforces what President Trump has said. He says the U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip and will do a job with it, too. We'll own it. We have 30 seconds on what especially responsibility the U.S. has.
What you say is a reflection of things that can only be said by fascists and by fascism. What the United States must do is to stop this terrible, horrible fascist tendency. Listen to the American people. The American people are changing, and they would not let this administration continue what they are doing.
Dr. Mustafa Barghouti, I want to thank you so much for being with us. Palestinian physician, activist, politician, serves as General Secretary of the Palestinian National Initiative, speaking to us from occupied Ramallah. A very happy birthday to Jackie Sam. I am.
The Trump administration is planning an announcement about autism today. President Trump reportedly set to link Tylenol used during pregnancy to the development of autism in children. ABC's Allison Cossack has more.
President Trump today is expected to announce his administration has, quote, found an answer to autism. He spoke about the disorder overnight while returning to the White House.
There's obviously something artificial that's really wrong. and we think we know what that is.
The Washington Post reports the administration is planning to link autism to the use of Tylenol in pregnancy and is expected to claim that the FDA-approved cancer drug leucovorin is a possible treatment for autism. Both claims raising concern among many doctors.
It's extremely dangerous to raise fear and alarm in pregnant women. Why add to the misery and the fear-mongering when it is based on very limited evidence?
No studies have proven that use of Tylenol, known as acetaminophen, by pregnant women is a cause for autism. Some limited evidence suggests it's associated with higher rates of neurological issues, but those studies have been mixed. The maker of Tylenol saying, "We believe independent, sound science clearly shows that taking acetaminophen does not cause autism. We strongly disagree with any suggestion otherwise." Scientists who've been studying autism for decades warn the administration's timeline examining this has been too short to come up with a single cause. Doctors and autism researchers point to figures showing rates of Tylenol use during pregnancy have declined in recent years, even as rates of autism have increased. As for the possible use of leucovorin as an autism treatment, many doctors again voicing skepticism.
We need to do large-scale randomized trials before we can say with any certainty that this is a treatment that autistic children should receive.
Doctors say the reason they recommend Tylenol in pregnancy is that it is known to be a safer medication than Advil, Motrin, or aspirin because it's not associated with bleeding, and when used appropriately can lower the risk of fever-induced risks with pregnancy. Allison Cossack, ABC News, New York.
Charlie Kirk's memorial service got completely overshadowed by Donald Trump. I mean, as soon as the Charlie Kirk supporters walked into the building, they were met with registration papers. Let's take a look. Charlie wants you to register to vote. That is insane. I mean, who thought that was a good marketing idea? Don't just pray for change, vote for it. I thought we were supposed to separate the church from the state. We're gonna play the rest of that video, but this uptake of Christian nationalism is getting out of control. There is a reason religion and politics should not be combined, because it wouldn't be hard for a dictator to convince his religious following that he's the next prophet. Let's continue. Vote for leaders who serve God, not themselves. Worship is a right, not a privilege. They are like brainwashing them with this messaging. This is actually insane. Worship is a right in all capitals, not a privilege. I'm surprised the current behind right isn't red. I just find it odd how this memorial service was turned into a political rally by Donald Trump. And there seems to be an uptick of Christians saying there's a difference between real Christianity and Christian nationalism. Because according to Stephen Miller, this is what Christian nationalism looks like.
We'll defeat the dark. We will prevail over the forces of wickedness and evil. They cannot imagine what they have awakened. They cannot conceive of the army that they have arisen in all of us, because we stand for what is good, what is virtuous, what is noble. And to those trying to incite violence against us, those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness, you are jealousy, you are envy.
I'm just wondering who he's speaking to when the shooter was a straight white MAGA male. So who is this message supposed to be pointed at? Who is this common enemy coming after them when the shooter's already been identified? While I don't condone any form of violence in this country, who is this message for?
You are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create nothing. We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity. You thought you could kill Charlie Kirk? You have made him immortal. You have immortalized.
Is he talking about MAGA on both ends of his speech? I'm just confused about who this enemy is right now. And plus, under Christian nationalism, I thought we were supposed to forgive those who wronged us, so why are they cheering this on? Let's see if we can figure out what Stephen Miller's actually trying to say.
Charlie Kirk, and now millions will carry on his legacy, and we will devote the rest of our lives to finishing the causes for which Charlie gave his last measure of devotion. You cannot defeat us, you cannot slow us, you cannot stop us, you cannot deter us. We will carry Charlie and Erica in our heart every single day and fight that much harder because of what you did to us. You have no idea the dragon you have awakened. You have no idea how determined we will be to save this civilization, to save the West, to save...
From who? MAGA? From who? If majority of political shooters are Republican, who are we saving the world from? Why have we not acknowledged that? Why did the Department of Justice remove the statistics on who's causing the most violence in America when it turned out to be white supremacy, more specifically, white supremacists who identify as Republican? Because for some reason that seems to go hand in hand.
No, Adobe Premiere does have a handsomeizer filter. Hassan Parker's probably using it. Figure out how to Oh, hey, guys. Hey. Hey, guys, what the hell's up, man? Guys, please show me some honor and respect.
All right, I'm gonna leave it there. Take care of you.
Lately.
Peace.
A lot of people, they just come on here and they're like, bep, bep, bep. You get a close-up. Bep, 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 bep. No, come on, camera. Bep, 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 bep. Lot of that going on lately. But I'm out in the street doing real journalism. I mean, what the power of what we have right... Is that framed?
The power of what we have right...
You know, computers that used to take up like an entire Planet Fitness, now we got in our pocket. Okay, so this is some live breaking footage right here. This is a local group. They call themselves the Dusty Boys. Watch this. Watch what the Golden Retriever does to the other one. Watch this. Okay, and all the way around. Okay, so we'll keep updated with that story.
We'll keep updated with what the f***'s up with that shit, man.
We'll be right back.
The big story, as many of you know, is that Jimmy Kimmel's show is off the air.
Okay.
And the real reason? He was getting 129,000 viewers in the key demo.
Huh?
His ratings have collapsed. Now, this is all just convenient, but according to the news reporting, Jimmy Kimmel made comments on Monday about Charlie Kirk's assassin, saying that MAGA was trying to do everything but paint him as one of their own. Or I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said the guy was a Trump supporter.
Okay, let's do this one, man. I feel like this might be the final making fun of Tim videos. He's the greatest newsman of all time. And I can't stop watching it because there's nothing political here. There's nothing to learn here. I'm not gonna make some amazing point or anything. It's just, I can't stop watching somebody who's like 40. He's almost 40, but it's like a little kid doing a show. You're gonna see literally.
The big story, as many of you know, is that Jimmy Kimmel's show is off the air. And the real reason? He was getting 129,000 viewers in the key demo. His ratings have collapsed. Now, this is all just convenient, but according to the news reporting, Jimmy Kimmel made comments on Monday about Charlie Kirk's assassin, saying that MAGA was trying to do everything but paint him as one of their own. Or I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said the guy was a Trump supporter who...
This is a huge cultural victory. This guy's like, he's getting huge views from this. 500,000 on this. But this is a huge political win. This is highly political.
It's a huge, huge victory.
This is a huge victory. Jimmy Kimmel, he's off the air? They're obsessed with this Jimmy Kimmel thing. Jimmy Kimmel's off the air, and he wants to get the women from The View fired or something, too. This is a huge political victory because now people who are staying in hotels and who are getting their cars oil changed cannot see The View, or maybe see The View and cannot see Jimmy Kimmel anymore. Oh man, this is a pretty funny content. All right, what was the reason that they fired this guy? Let's see.
The big story, as many of you know, is that Jimmy Kimmel's show is off the air. And the real reason? He was getting 129,000 viewers in the key demo.
Okay.
His ratings have collapsed. Now, this is all...
Okay, so I guess this guy is just excited and worked up. He's all worked up into a little frenzy of happiness because what, I guess, low-rated content? Because low-rated content is not on network TV anymore, okay? Interesting to be excited about. This is the day before. Here we go.
And why was Jimmy Kimmel terminated?
I don't know.
Well, it's not just that he lied to the American people about the political leanings of Charlie Kirk's assassin.
Okay.
It's not just that he mocked Donald Trump. It was that he wouldn't apologize.
Okay.
Indeed.
Right.
Hollywood.
This guy is getting a lot of views on this crap, on this junk, you know? 325,000 people are watching this, and he's like, look, you know, why did they fire this guy, Jimmy Kimmel? Why did they fire this guy, Jimmy? Guy's an adult calling himself Jimmy. Why did they fire this guy? He lied to the American people. He lied to the American people, and then he didn't even apologize about it. Legally, there's a thing in the law that if you lie, you have to apologize on TV. He lied to the American people, and then he didn't even apologize. Then you come on the next day to 500,000 people, and you're like, why'd this guy get fired? Bad ratings. Bad ratings. Bad ratings, and I want to amend kind of what I said yesterday.
His ratings have collapsed. Now, this is all just convenient, but according to the news reporting, Jimmy Kimmel made comments on Monday about Charlie Kirk's assassin, saying that MAGA was trying to do everything but paint him as one of their own, or I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said the guy was a Trump supporter who killed Charlie Kirk.
Right.
This was...
I mean, the guy's an artist. Like, this is art. It's amazing. It's great. I mean, it's like, this guy lied to the American people. Okay, so they kicked his ass off. You can't do that. He didn't even apologize about the lies. Next day, his ratings were bad. So they kicked his ass off. Also, I want to amend a little bit what I said yesterday about the lying. Here's what he said, and you could kind of interpret that if you really want to as some kind of lie. I mean, it's not. I mean, if you read or listen to what he said, it's like obviously true. But I choose to read it as a lie. Here's a thumbnail. Here's a thumbnail from Tim Pool. Here's a thumbnail. It's from 9 days ago. 9 days. From Tim. What the hell is the channel called? Tim Pool. This is, it's amazing. Charlie Kirk suspect captured. Antifa confirmed. Antifa confirmed. Antifa confirmed. I mean, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Okay? It's not your fault. It's society's fault. Okay? But this is like triple word score. This is amazing. This is amazing. Like he should win an award for this. Like a news award or something. Because he's like, this is a fireable offense, this son of a bitch, Jimmy Kimmel. He lied to the American people by ascribing some kind of political crap to this shooter. He did this 9 days ago.